Tupac Shakur and Jahseh Onfroy, or XXXTentacion. Two legends, two different eras, but the way they impacted the culture, OD similarities. So don't get it twisted. I'm not saying X was Pac, but was his impact just as heavy? And this isn't about who's better or who did what first. Pac was Pac, X was X, but in a real eerie way, their influence hit the same. The details were different, but the impact that they left is unmatched. So let's break it down. And yes, this is brought to you by your girl, the Unruly Child. Yes, I'm going to say make sure you like, comment, and subscribe, because that's what YouTubers do. Let's get into the video. And if you can hear that little sound, it's just the heat in the background. Let's go. So, Pac came up in a real different time. He was born in 71. He was raised around Black Panthers, revolutionaries, real street politics. He was moving around a lot. He dealt with poverty, but that struggle helped shape him. He was smart, and he was ahead of his time. He knew the system was rigged, and he used his art to fight back. X, his upbringing was a little wild too, just in a different way. He was born in 98, raised in Florida, but his life was all over the place. Fights, legal issues, anger. He was almost like a ticking time bomb. Now, he didn't grow up on politics like Pac, but pain, yeah, he knew that too well. Both of them were young, misunderstood, and looking for a way to express all that chaos built up inside of them. So now, their music and artistic influence, right? So Pac's pen game, different. He was painting pictures with his words, you know what I'm saying? Whether he was talking about the struggle, the streets, or just reflecting on life, period. Everything was like, it hit deep, you feel me? So Tupacalypse Now, Me Against the World, All Eyes on Me. These weren't just albums, these were blueprints for a whole generation. Now X, he wasn't necessarily on that kind of storytelling vibe like Pac, but his music, straight emotion, raw emotion. 17 in question mark felt like we were reading his diary or anyone's diary. He was talking about pain, mental health, loss, and stuff that a lot of people felt but never really spoke on publicly. And he didn't care about sticking to just rap. He mixed rock, emo, alternative, whatever sound matched what he was feeling in the moment. So yeah, they had different styles, but the same effect. They both gave people something real to connect to. Alright? So now there are controversies and legal issues. Alright, so let's keep it a bean. Both of them both had a bunch of fair share of drama in their lives. Pac stayed in and out of trouble. He had a sexual assault case, the beef with Biggie, the whole East Coast versus West Coast thing. And it was just seemed like always something. He was a walking, I wouldn't say contradiction, but some may say, you know what I'm saying, where he was seen to be preaching peace one second and then he was tweaking out on the next. But that's just what made him pop. You know what I'm saying? That's what made him him. That's what made him connect with what you would say is human, you know? X, he was on the same type of time. His name stayed in the headlines for all the wrong reasons. Assault cases, legal battles, and he had crazy energy in interviews just like Pac. But before he passed, you could tell he was trying to change, and he was on some self-improvement, spreading positivity type wave, just like Pac, where he was trying to bring everything together. So they weren't perfect, and that's what made them relatable. Their cultural impact and influence. So Pac wasn't just a rapper, he was a whole movement. His music, his energy, his whole aura had people ready to ride for something bigger than themselves. You know what I'm saying? He made you think, he made you want to move different. But that's why his influence never faded, which you could see his influence in artists like Kendrick, J. Cole, or even Nipsey Hussle, those conscious day rappers who's talking about more than just what typical rappers talk about in their music, you know? X, though, he took over in a way that made sense for his generation. So this was the internet era. He didn't need radio, labels, or none of that. He built his fan base straight from social media. He made people feel seen, especially the ones dealing with depression, anxiety, and all that. He broke down barriers for artists to be vulnerable in ways hip-hop never really embraced before. You know what I'm saying? So Pac was fighting against the world while X was fighting against himself. And you could see X's influence in artists like Juice WRLD, you know what I'm saying? Trippie Redd, 2C, Rod Wave, just people who's a lot more vulnerable and putting their raw emotions out there in their music, and it's accepted, you know? So they had an influence on their generation and those that came after. So Pac had the 90s in a chokehold, but his influence didn't stop there. Rappers still study his work, and his name still gets brought up in conversations and even in songs today. And in conversations about is he the greatest to ever do it. He gave artists a blueprint on how to mix raw truth with timeless music. X did the same, just in a different way. So, he kind of sparked that whole emo wave. He made it cool to be open about pain, mental health, and just being different. And his sound has changed hip hop forever. Two different generations, two different styles, but the way they shape music, it's the same impact. The details is different, the impact is the same. So was X the Tupac of his generation? At the end of the day, Pac was Pac, X was X. But their energy, their influence, same lane. The details, different. But the impact they carried, they left, was heavy. So now it's up to y'all. You let me know what y'all think. Was X really his generation's Tupac, or was his impact on something else entirely? We could talk about it in the comments. I'm really out.
Listen, all eyes on me. It's my turn. It's my turn. I work hard for this. All eyes on me. All of you. All eyes on me. Listen, all eyes on me. It's my turn. It's my turn. I work hard for this. All eyes on me. All of you. All eyes on me.